To me, this is a kind of crazy situation. What we need to do is really factor in and understand the significance of the ocean. And when we do, we know what we need to do. I don't think the next generation is going to look back very favorably on us, because each generation, in my book, has more power of analysis and knowledge than the previous generation. We look back at the previous generation and say, if only they hadn't done this, if only they'd done that. And we're different because we know what we need to do. What I hope is the next generation isn't going to look back and go, do you know what? They were smart. They worked it out. And then I hope they won't say, and they were really stupid because they didn't do it. You know, in my book, and building on what Callum's just said, there's some critical things we need to do. To center stage is the fact that we've got to reduce CO2 emissions and we've got to keep surface warming down. That's a fundamental thing to do. And Callum also talked about the fact that we've got to protect more. How on earth do we think we're going to move forward? We're an ocean planet, and yet we've protected a few percent in strict terms of the ocean to this current day. And the world has kind of come together and said, we need to protect at least 30%. And we probably need now to have a different management for climate sensitive zones. If you think of the Arctic and the Antarctic, and you think of the heat events in the tropics, can we really manage them as though nothing has happened anymore? And then, of course, in 2019, it's still remarkable that 61% of the ocean, or put it another way, 43% of the surface of the planet has no effective, no recognizable conservation framework. These things we know we need to change. We've got processes in hand to change them, but we need to have a realization that the sum is more than the parts here. You can't do these in a linear way. We simply don't have time. People have said we've got a decade or so. If you put these things side by side, then we do stand a fighting chance of actually stemming carbon emissions, but also protecting the infrastructure of the ocean. A dead ocean is no good to anyone because it's lost its services, it's lost its values on which many hundreds of millions, billions of people depend. So these things have to go hand in hand. And perhaps one of my strongest messages is the fact that we know what we need to do and we need to get on with it. And this isn't perhaps as much rocket science as people think, as pure logic. And I go back to what I said earlier, which is, where's the grand ambition? Where's the leadership? And where's the direction to join these things up? We talk about joining up the biodiversity work and the climate change stuff. We talked about that in 2008. We really need to get on and do these things and take a different philosophy about these things, because it's in all our interests to do so.